And I only had 3 French horns, and it calls for 4. But I had a terrific euphonium player. I said, his name was Peter Farrell. I says, Pete, here's the 4th horn part to Mozart number 10. I says, I want you to learn it, and I want you to sound like a French horn. He did. Fred came down, started conducting the piece. He was halfway in it before he realized it wasn't 4 horns. Why did I do it? Well, I did it, first of all, because it's a great piece. But for my oboe player and for my bassoon player, it was the greatest thing that ever happened to him. This great, great music that they had a chance to play. That they didn't have a chance to play the same kind of quality things in the band literature at that time. The technical and musical demands of the music selected should be compatible with the skills of the ensemble. Music that demands months of excessive drill should be avoided. Students need to play literature that allows them to approach the expressive character and nature of the music. Literature which makes excessive demands on the students denies them the opportunity to reach this expressive level, a plateau level. Now that doesn't mean that you can't select a piece that's going to challenge them technically, but be careful. I mean, you know, sometimes I stand around and the kids come out of these festivals, and I can't tell you how many times I've heard this comment. Whew, we got through it. Now, if that's what you're doing music for, to get through it, there's something wrong. The kid ought to be talking about how great it was. You ever notice that we go to band concerts, and you come out of a band concert, and you talk about how the band plays. Oh man, the intonation was perfect, the rhythm was tight, the trumpets are fantastic. You go listen to the Dallas Symphony Orchestra, Boston Symphony Orchestra, they play Mahler or Strauss, you come out saying, wow, was that Mahler or something? Because you're overwhelmed with the message of the music. There was something there to be overwhelmed with. Music selected should encompass a variety of styles: contemporary, avant-garde, Renaissance, Baroque, romantic, jazz, popular. This makes possible the teaching of history, various musical styles and performance practices. You know, pick music with a variety of textures. You know, opportunities for solo playing, small ensembles, full ensembles. Another important consideration when selecting is appropriateness. A piece that would be appropriate for one occasion and environment might be totally inappropriate for the other. For example, Wagner Trauer Symphony would not be appropriate for a 4th of July concert, but might be very appropriate for a concert of remembrance. I'd like to interject that I applaud those states and associations that are presently evaluating or reevaluating the content of recommended music lists. Most of these lists are bloated, containing pieces that often duplicate in content and style others found on the list. A recommended repertoire list should be very selective and only include pieces of the highest musical quality, pieces that offer the possibility of teaching musical concepts, music history, basic musicianship, technical expressive skills. All the pieces on a recommended list should be examples of music created with imagination and have a musical expressive message. Very important. Other considerations. When examining scores, the conductor must study all the scores he or she is considering. It's the only way you can tell. I mean, how do we decide what we're going to play? Well, a lot of people just, listen to records and pick it out. Or if somebody tells them it's a great tune, they play it. They read something in the magazines that says it's a masterpiece, we play it. You don't know what's in the piece if you don't examine it. If I have to have an operation, I'm going to have a thorough examination to make sure this is something I want. So what do? I pile up my scores that I think I might want to look at, and I begin to study them. And I have to study each one to a certain degree to find out What's in it? And then I discard all the ones I don't think has what's in it that I want. Now, again, it depends upon your own criteria. But it's the only way you can find that out. So that, you discard. No, 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 yes, no. You can go on somebody else's recommendation, and you can go from a superficial contact with a thing, but that's not the way that you would want anybody to examine you for an important decision. So you have to study it, and that time is not wasted time. It's the price that one pays for the selection of quality music. Once the repertoire is chosen, the conductor must complete the study of the selected scores. Prior to the start of rehearsals, a band director should have complete knowledge of the information in the scores and an expressive, feelingful image of each piece. Conducting from the feelingful image of a piece from inside is a completely different experience than conducting a notation on the page. What I see when I do conducting clinics, is I see people conducting notation. If I'm going to play King Lear, I get Shakespeare's text, the score. I study it. I think about King Lear. I think about the situation he was in. I absorb it. When I walk on the stage on King Lear, I don't play it off the script. So I take a piece, I study it, I absorb it. Now, I conduct from inside. Because you know as well as I do, I connect the best with you when I'm not reading. When I'm looking at you, and I'm using my arms and my face and everything else, because I know what I want to say, and I'm trying like crazy to express that to you. So, you see, the thing is that when you study people, you discover all those incredible, exciting things in the piece. Now I'm presupposing that you've picked out a piece that has exciting things in it. But if I study a piece, let's put it this way, if I'm going to conduct Lincolnshire Posey, when I walk into to conduct Lincolnshire Posey, there are so many things in that piece that I want my students to discover. And I'm not talking about playing the rhythms right. That I can't wait to get up in front of them to share all these wonderful treasures. And I'm so prepared that I'm going to be incredibly efficient. If a conductor is not aware of these treasures or has not studied the score thoroughly, he or she is relegated to drilling notation, a musical mechanic trying to get the machine to run better. Now I'm just going to put a little comment about what I said this morning. The music educator, band director seeking to grow continuously budgets time every day to listen and hopefully study music composed for genres other than the band. Also budgets time for reading of good literature, poetry, attendance at professional concerts. This kind of activity is absolutely necessary for the teacher, band director's personal growth as a musician person. If I have studied music, if I love music, and I have an elementary school band, I can derive great satisfaction in my teaching, in helping these students grow, discover. But what about my own fulfillment? I am a sophisticated musician. That doesn't challenge me from a musically sophisticated point of view. If I'm going to keep those juices moving inside me, then I'm going to have contact with music at the level that's going to challenge me. I mean, I was studying, when I was high school band director, my band in the first years couldn't play the hymn and the symphony. But I was studying the hymn and the symphony like I was studying the Beethoven First Symphony. And I was excited.